They're talking in Columbus again. When will they ever learn? Apparently never. Let's discuss on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday. We are back in doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. And we want to thank all of you for making us your first listen. Thank you to our everydayers out there. It means a lot. We do appreciate it. Today, we are going to discuss Jeremiah Smith's comments to The Athletic about the game. Was it a smart play? Was it misguided? We'll find out. And then we're going to talk Michigan recruiting continues to be on a heater, and you never walk away from the table when you're on a heater. Wanted to do the little finger wag on the thing there. But we are going to get into that a little bit. And then we're going to, again, talk about where this class is headed, because I think it's maybe even headed to an even better place than it seemed like it was heading not too long ago. So we will get to all of that momentarily. We have Jazuri joining the show right now. This is our third take of the show, by the way. So she's just been waiting patiently for all the attention, and now she will get it by any means necessary. All right, Jeremiah Smith went on The Athletic, and he had some comments about Michigan and about the game, and he says, and I don't quote, but he does say, that he is not a sore loser. And yet, he says that they are not going to lose the game for the remainder of his Ohio State career. Is this trying to speak things into existence? Is this bold strategy, Cotton? Is this hubris? I tend to put it in the space of hubris. And I know there's a lot of people, I've seen a lot of comments of Michigan fans saying, what do you expect him to say? And then certainly there's the Ohio State contingent where that's what they want to hear and everything. But here's one of the things. I'm going to harken back to one of my old bosses when I was working at United Talent Agency in Hollywood. Darren Bogosian used to tell us about, talk about how, what agenting is supposed to be. And he said that one of the things about agenting is you manage expectations is one of the biggest things. There's a reason why, like, for all the people who want to say I make things up or whatever, which I don't really care that that's your prerogative. I don't feel like lying is a smart move by any stretch. I understand there's Ohio State people that say that I lied about the Ryan Day PI stuff. All I'm saying there, just to clarify, is that Michigan believes that Ryan Day hired a PI. Okay, that is very much true. I believe that that's probably the case myself. However, that doesn't mean that it's true or not. We don't have the evidence. I'm not saying here's the truth. I'm telling you. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back on track. I don't know how to do that after this. But the thing is managing expectations is a big thing, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you something to hype you up. I'm not going to tell you something that I know isn't true in order to, like, or something that I don't think I can fulfill. Now, with the one exception of doing weekend shows, I always intend to do weekend shows, and it just almost never happens that way. Life comes at you fast. So, but generally the idea is if we're going to tell you something on this show, we have a reasonable expectation to believe it to be true. Jeremiah Smith, after 1 year in which he had 35 yards, and yes, he had a touchdown. Yes, he also had what should have been some kind of pass interference in my eyes, but whatever. Didn't affect the outcome of the game ultimately. Cannot promise a win against Michigan. Jack Sawyer went out there and talked like for several years as if like, and then you had Brian Hartline out there talking about how, for 365 days we worked. And then you had Ryan Day last year. This is about our team. This is about our whatever, which hopefully the glasses mean that I stopped getting Ryan Day comparisons, by the way. So like he cannot reasonably, like maybe he hopes he can will his team to something, which playing wide receiver, like you are wholly dependent on first the offensive line and then the quarterback. And against Michigan, that has not exactly been a winning proposition for the Buckeyes. So I think it's hubris to come out and say, I promise we are not going to. Right? Like Jim Harbaugh said, we are going to beat Ohio State or die trying. That's a little, at least that's something, right? Like it's not a promise. It's like what we do promise is we're going to do everything in our power. I don't even think that Jim Tressel's thing from back in 2001, like that was a little bit more of that's the type of thing that you say, right? Like you're going to be proud of our boys. Now that doesn't mean that, hey, they were going to come away with a win, but at least it means like, hey, we saw that they gave it everything they had. After like a long period in which Ohio State, no matter how good it was and how not good Michigan was, Michigan was good, but not like on the same level of what Ohio State seemed every given year. Michigan would win. They did come away with the win. To promise something, especially as a skill position player, I feel like that, number one, it doesn't take into account that Michigan has a mental edge. And you're feeding into it. That's going to be on the bulletin boards in Schembechler Hall. That's, like they already have the beat Ohio drill. They've already got a mental edge. Everyone in that locker room, that aside from freshmen and transfers, knows what it takes to beat Ohio State now. No one in the Ohio State locker room knows what it takes to beat Michigan. We talked about that back at the beginning of this show, 2018, 2019, but the other way around. Where it was Michigan players did not know what it took. So unless they're going to change their entire strategy and become better in the trenches, because their problem has not been, man, they just need more 5-star receivers. That's don't say get another 5-star receiver or two, then it will be off to the races. No. That's fine for playing most teams. It is not, they are not built to beat Michigan. They have not shown that they are currently built to beat Michigan. So it is at best misguided. At worst, it's hubris. Is it a big deal? No, it's not a big deal. I'm not trying to say any of this is a big deal, but we're in the summer. These are the types of things that we're going to talk about, right? Recruiting, and someone said something that is not necessarily patently absurd, but it mean kind of when you're promising. When you're making promises, you better make sure that you can cash those checks. So we'll see. All right, let's get into the recruiting piece. Zuri is ready for it. She is so excited. I don't know. She just requires all the attention, as you can see. And that's why I know y'all that watch, if you're listening, you just don't even know. But those you watch, she is a very good co-host, except for the fact that she blocks the microphone. All right, we're going to continue on here in talking about recruiting here in just a moment. But before we do, ever wish managing your money felt easier with Monarch Money? It can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. So one of the things that made it so interesting is how much I spend, and now Zuri's pushing on the microphone, how much I spend on food delivery. You know what I did instead today? Instead of ordering breakfast like I tend to? I made biscuits and gravy from scratch. That's what we did, because Monarch Money taught us, hey, sometimes you got to slow things down a little bit. And also sometimes we've looked and we've seen, using Monarch Money, how those subscriptions that you may have forgotten about. Lord knows there's plenty of them that I said it, forget it, and I'm like, I signed up for that 3 years ago, and I never used it. So that's where it's going to be helpful. To take control of your finances with Monarch Money, use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, it's still me and the puppy. We're still here doing it. She's, we did a show on Sunday. So we took a in-week weekend here. And, but she doesn't know how to act. Sitting here talking. Maybe I'm talking to her. She doesn't know. And she's leaning on the microphone. There we go. If you're watching, you also notice when we get back to the 3 camera, which I don't really know why I'm not doing a 3 camera today. I don't. Oh, actually, I do. It's partially because of what we're having some technical difficulties with the audio software. So, like I said, this is the 3rd time doing the show already, but the sync issues have been so bad that we're doing it for a 3rd time. So I want to make sure that we got that working normally, and it looks like it is, before we start adding in other production elements here. That's part of it. Anyway. And if hopefully you can hear me as Zuri continues to push on the microphone. All right, so let's talk Michigan football recruiting. Oh, I meant to mention the glasses, but yeah, I got glasses, and I can use them. If I go to a Michigan State game, I can use them down on the sidelines and just looking across the way. They're those types of glasses. Hopefully, create some cool content for you come football season. I jest, not the latter part, but the former. So Michigan went and got yet another big time recruit, Julian Walker. CBS Sports wasn't impressed. They gave him a 6 out of 10 in terms of whatever depth. But I mean, it's monumental in terms of narrative, if nothing else. Certainly in terms of potential. Another 6'6" guy, right? Like they got Carter Meadows 6'6.5". They get Julian Walker 6'6". And the fact that he is the son of a South Carolina strength and conditioning coach, right? That is massive, right? To go into SEC territory. And I understand South Carolina kind of has that fringe SEC feel. They're an SEC team, not in name only, right? Like, I feel like South Carolina kind of, whoever has been the coach, it's been like a solid team. Like, they've been certainly better than like a Kentucky. And Kentucky's, I'm just going to offend everybody. But like Kentucky's had it like a couple years here and there where it's like, okay, I see what you're working with, Kentucky. But generally, like, Kentucky's struggling to make a bowl game type of team, right? South Carolina's not that. The question for South Carolina has long been like, when are they going to take the next step? And to get a kid out of Columbia that South Carolina really wanted is massive. It's also massive to just win the picture. What am I talking about here? I know I sound like Joel Klatt like that. Joel, what are you saying? Well, let me tell you. I do that on the sidelines to Bryce Marich all the time, by the way. My little post-play Joel Klatt impression. It's big for them to be able to put that picture together, which had 1 commit and 3 prospects. You're right. It was the 1 commit at the time, Tariq Boney, Carter Meadows, Julian Walker, Titan Davis. And now they're 4 for 4. Reminiscent of the Blake Frazier, Jordan Marshall, Jaden Davis, Brady Prieskorn picture, when it didn't really feel like they were going to get all of those guys, right? Like at that time, it felt like maybe they get Blake Frazier. Prieskorn seemed like he was trending away. I don't remember if Jaden Davis was committed at that point in time or not. Oh, I don't think Jordan Marshall was, but maybe he was. I don't remember. I just remember it felt like they're not going to get all 4 of those guys. And then they got all 4 of them. So, like, that's big. And to do the same type of thing here, all in one position group, by the way, give the flowers to Lou Esposito and David Denham. Like, incredible job that they have done recruiting the defensive line. That kind of goes again to if you're Jeremiah Smith, why are you talking, man? Michigan is just like, I understand this is like the future. You're not going to see these guys kind of on their come up. You're going to be long gone by then. But like Michigan is been recruiting and developing the defensive line like crazy. So it's huge to be able to get another, yet another player like that. And like, they're still like not necessarily done. Like, there's a lot of hype out there at the moment. I don't have any intel on this, but I've seen other people put out there, other insiders that maybe have some intel, that Deuce Gerald's is still on the table, right? Like, I say this in a positive light. What are we doing here? Like, it is like shocking to see how this has come along. 12 commits in the month of June, and then you start off July 1 with another, to stealing one right out of a program in the SEC that has been very good. Give everyone their flowers, man. It has been an absolute incredible thing to watch. And like, when we were doing shows in May saying like, calm down, all of you freaking out over recruiting, right? Like, when we were going through and saying like, this is what other classes were like and everything, I still did not imagine that it was going to end up trending the way it's trending. And it's trending towards being a top 5 class. It's absolutely unbelievable because there are still some of those prospects that Michigan wants the most are out there. Not even in the ether. They're out there and seemingly leaning to Michigan. Now, they got one of them in Carter Meadows, but there's still a couple out there. Let's talk about where the class goes from here, because it's just unbelievable what Sharon Moore and company are doing. And where do I think it's going to end up? We'll get to that here in just a moment. For those of you watching, Zuri is still here. You just can't see her because she is laying down and the camera is too tight. She is getting sleepy. Well, she's not really sleepy. She's just staring out the window. Just head down, staring out the window. That's her favorite thing. That's her TV. All right. We did a show last week talking about like giving chances on different guys, right? Like, I felt like Julian Walker felt like a good potential addition. Wasn't as confident as we ended up being. I don't remember if he was in my best guess class or not. I'd grab my phone out of my pocket to take a look, but I have a puppy sitting on it at the moment, so can't do that. But at the same time, like, we were looking at like Deuce Gerald's and saying that ship has sailed. We were looking at Devon Benjamin and saying that ship has sailed. Still believe they're trending for and will likely get Savion Hyder. So, I mean, like, the list is starting to dwindle, right? Like, some of the people we thought were going to be in the class aren't, right? Like, Kenneth Goodwin, it seemed to be either Kenneth Goodwin or Markel Dabney, and they got Markel Dabney. Okay, that's fine. Will Ben Boulware end up in the class? I don't think so, if they're really going all in for Deuce Gerald's at this point. Seems like it's a Michigan, like, between him and Devon Benjamin, feels like it's a Michigan-Oregon battle in both cases. And you've seen I should say you've seen, I've seen, some of you have seen that there are some people on the Oregon boards that are pretty confident that at least one of those is trending Michigan's way. That's pretty amazing. So we mentioned Hyder. We mentioned some of these other guys. I don't know about Donovan Webb, who kind of feels like he's trending away. But then you've got others that Michigan's still trending for that are announcing soon. Travis Johnson, wide receiver, on July 4th. You've got Calvin Russell. I think on the 5th, maybe it's the 4th. I think it might be the night of the 4th. I'm pretty sure it's the night of the 4th. Calvin Russell, 5-star wide receiver. I want to take this moment to kind of clarify something, because I saw some things on Facebook in one of the Michigan groups of Michigan fans complaining about saying they took away the 5th star from Carter Meadows, and they post a picture of 24/7 Sports. And I'm like, he was never a 5-star on 24/7 Sports. And you see people, I tried to set everybody straight, and I don't think anybody saw what I said. But there are people that were like, no, I saw it. He had a 5th star and it got taken away. No, he was a 5-star on 3, right? Like, understand there's a lot of different recruiting services and a lot of different rankings within said recruiting services. So I note that because not only Carter Meadows, but like Calvin Russell, like we'll refer to him as a 5-star. We'll typically go with the highest ranking, typically, unless it's just like an insane outlier, right? Like if like Calvin Russell was a 5-star on ESPN, but like a like middling 3-star on, you know, on 3 and 24/7 Sports, including their composites, then we probably won't call him a 5-star. But generally that type of talent. So I mean, they're trending for those 2 wide receivers. They're trending for cornerback Dorian Barney. I mean, like there's still so much upside to this class. And I think what's interesting, Michigan's up to number 9 in 24/7 Sports recruiting rankings. And when you sort by the average recruit, right? Because like some of them you can look at and say like, oh yeah, USC's number 1 because they got 30 commits, man. Like, of course they've got more commits than anybody, like by kind of a wide margin. But if you sort by the amount of like the recruiting ranking, sorry, not the recruiting ranking, but the particular like recruit average, Michigan's still number 9. It's right up there. And again, like we just mentioned, 2 5-stars, 3 5-stars, Savion Hyder, Calvin Russell, Devon Benjamin, however you want to say his name, on top of everything. And high 4-stars, Travis Johnson, Dorian Barney, right? Like, so now I'm curious about the linebacker position, right? Like, I do believe that Brayden Rouse is Michigan's top overall target. Feels like he's Tennessee bound. Tennessee got another linebacker recruit commitment today, I believe. So, like, does that change things? Does Michigan get involved in the NIL game with someone that is a top target at that position? I think it's possible, right? Like, it just feels like the type of guy that they're just not going to quit after, no matter what happens. Can they get Nick Abrams back in the fold, right? You would imagine that they want 3 linebackers in this class, right? They took 2 last time. They want 3 this time. Right now, they've got Markel Dabney, and that's it. So they've got to kind of recalibrate in one way or another. So it will be interesting to see what Michigan does as far as that is concerned and where that goes. So, yeah. So anyway, let's see. That was just a picture. I was going to take a video and add it to the show here of what it looks like on this side, but you know what? I have to clean up a little bit in here, so it's not messy, but it's still. Anyway, that's really all we got today. We're gonna be back on Thursday with the mailbag that should have been last week. So don't look for a call for questions. If you got your questions in last week, you're good. And we will hit the ground running with that tomorrow on Thursday. And we are planning on having a 4th of July show. So that is the current plan. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you again soon. Peace.